All right, let's jump right into today's explainer. And you know what? We're actually going to begin right at the conclusion and work backwards. So picture this. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and there is absolutely no alarm clock blaring in your ear. There's zero debt hanging over your head. You literally have total financial freedom. You walk outside, you hop into a luxury car that you own completely outright, and you drive over to visit your mom in the absolute dream house that you just bought for her. Just imagine having that level of control over your time in your life while everyone else is still stuck sitting in morning traffic. Well, that is exactly how our story ends today.
32. The guy in our story today, Ethan, achieved this exact reality. He hit total financial freedom and retired his mother when he was just 32 years old. And the reason we're unpacking his journey today is because it proves something absolutely vital. Millionaires don't just get rich by pure luck, and they aren't all just born into the right family. There is actually a hidden pattern at play here. It's a specific system, a code, really.
Now, opening up the data behind Ethan's success, the absolute most surprising finding comes down to just one single distinction. It's a truth he picked up from an old man he spotted just sitting calmly outside a cafe one morning. The old man looked at him, asked if he wanted to know the real difference between rich people and everyone else, and then he delivered this exact line: "Poor people work for money, rich people make money work for them." I know, it sounds super simple, right? But this single sentence fundamentally altered the entire trajectory of Ethan's life.
But to really understand how he pulled this off, we have to work backwards and rewind to when he was 24. $14.27. That was his entire bank balance at his absolute lowest point. Ethan definitely wasn't driving a luxury car back then. He was sitting exhausted on the floor of a tiny, cramped apartment, just staring at that crushing number. He was grinding through these grueling 10-hour days in a small electronics shop. He had reached an absolute breaking point because every single month looked exactly the same. His paycheck came in and his bills immediately wiped it out, just over and over again. And as he stared at that $14 bank balance, he just whispered to himself, there has to be more than this. You know that feeling? It was realizing he was stuck in this endless, suffocating loop that sparked his desperate search to find the specific codes to build real wealth. So, to break out of that reality, he had to apply code number 1, the mindset shift. He figured out pretty quickly that to change his bank account, he fundamentally had to change his mind first. When Ethan actually sat down and studied successful people, he noticed this incredibly stark contrast in their daily habits. Poor habits are all about spending money just to impress other people, constantly complaining about circumstances, and being terrified of failure. But millionaire habits, they revolve entirely around investing for freedom, relentlessly acquiring new skills, and treating failure as just necessary data. So Ethan completely rewired his routine. He started getting up at 5 a.m. every single day to study high-leverage skills, things like sales, online business, and investing. And yeah, his friends literally laughed at him. They told him he was changing too much. But Ethan totally ignored them because he understood that to get an entirely different life, you have to become a completely different person. And as his mindset shifted, suddenly these new opportunities became visible, which brings us to code number 2, multiple incomes. Ethan had this major light bulb moment at his day job. He realized the owner of the electronics shop was making more money in a single day than Ethan was taking home in an entire month. And the reason? Ownership. The shop owner owned a system. Ethan realized right then and there that he could never rely on a single salary if he truly wanted to be free. So he launched an online side hustle, working on it after getting home from those brutal 10-hour shifts. But man, the initial reality was harsh. 0 views, 0 sales. Absolutely nobody was watching his content, and nobody was buying what he was selling. And let's be honest for a second. This is the exact moment where most people would have completely thrown in the towel and just gone back to watching TV, right? But Ethan leaned heavily on a core principle of wealth creation. Success rewards consistency. He didn't quit, he just kept going. Day after day, night after night, even when it looked like absolutely nothing was working. And then, boom, the breakthrough happened. One of his videos completely exploded online. His phone just started buzzing nonstop. Sales notifications, messages, new followers rolling in. For the very first time in his entire life, money was hitting his account while he was fast asleep. He had successfully built a system. Now, obviously having an explosive video is awesome, but sustaining that wealth, that requires code number 3, temporary sacrifice. This right here is the final piece of the code required to bridge the gap from a cool side hustle to long-lasting generational wealth. Real success required immense discipline. See, while his peers were out spending their weekends partying and buying expensive clothes just to look wealthy, Ethan stayed home.
He traded short-term fun for high-leverage learning. He took his limited money and poured it into books and education instead of fleeting experiences. People literally called him boring. But guess what? Years later, those exact same friends were still broke, still living paycheck to paycheck, while Ethan's investments were multiplying rapidly.
It really all boils down to this. Temporary sacrifice creates permanent rewards. All those missed parties, all those crazy early mornings, they ultimately paid off, culminating in total financial freedom. It gave him the ability to buy his mom that absolute dream house we talked about at the beginning. He literally turned her tears over unpaid bills into tears of joy. And it led to this beautiful full-circle moment where Ethan actually drove his own luxury car right back to that exact same cafe where he first met the old man. So let's quickly summarize the complete millionaire code that got Ethan to that point. 6 specific steps. Think bigger than your current situation. Learn valuable skills that the market actually pays for. Create multiple streams of income so you are never reliant on just one boss. Stay disciplined, especially when it gets boring. Invest your money consistently, and above all else, never ever quit. And you know what happened when Ethan parked at that cafe? A young, totally exhausted worker was staring at him. Ethan just smiled, passed this exact code right along to him, and said, "Poor people work for money, rich people make money work for them."
So I want to pivot this narrative directly onto you for a second. Right now, somewhere out there in the world, someone is using this exact code. Someone is building their dream. Someone is sacrificing, learning, and investing, while everyone else is just wasting time scrolling on their phones. The ultimate question you have to answer right now is, will that person be you?
Because look, becoming wealthy isn't some magic trick. It is simply a decision that is backed up by daily actions. Every single day, you are either moving closer to freedom or you're moving closer to regret. 10 years from right now, you are going to say one of 2 sentences. You will either look back and say, "Man, I wish I started," or you'll look back and say, "I am so glad I never gave up." The time is going to pass anyway. The choice of which reality you actually end up in, that's entirely yours. So I really want you to let this sink in. Start today. Start scared. Start small. But whatever you do, you must start. You have the code now. You see the pattern. Your future millionaire self is out there, literally waiting for you to make a move. The only question left is, what exactly are you going to do the moment this explainer ends?